I've been watching this guy. His name's Van Neistat, and he's been doing weather reports, which he stole from David Lynch. The idea where he's like, "It's nice outside today," and so I'm doing that too. Apparently, it's 4 degrees, mostly cloudy. It's 4th of July weekend, which means fireworks are going to be going off, which it hasn't been that bad this year, surprisingly. Have not really had to deal with it too much. It's been pretty mild around here. I think a lot of people that aren't super stoked. Also, I'm just looking at the thumbnail because I had the phone this way and then I twisted it the last second and then it just got my forehead. So, sweet thumbnail, bro. Um, what are you gonna do? So, welcome to Office Hours. This is my live stream that I do. I mean, I want to do a week, but realistically, it's probably going to be like 2-3 times a month because life gets in the way. So I answer questions, and then when I run out of questions to answer, I go on Reddit and I just answer people's questions on Reddit. So since there's no questions, I guess we're going to Reddit. We're going to start right off with Reddit. This is just going to become me going to Reddit and answering questions. I'm fine with that because it takes time to build stuff. I think this is the 6th or 7th one I've done. Not entirely sure, but I read something. I don't know if it was a tweet, but it was like 50% of podcasts and YouTube channels have less than like 14 videos or 14 installments. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta do at least that many of them before I decide. I actually think the actual number that I'm gonna do is probably more like, I don't know. I'll probably do 50, do it for a year, and if it doesn't get traction, then like that's when I think would be a good time to pull the trigger and quit. But I also started doing shorts. I just started doing shorts this month, and I'm gonna try to do one short every day for the month and see if that doesn't do it. I'm just trying to throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks. Try to make a YouTube channel, try to help people. So if I can help you, drop a question, and I'm watching the thing over here. Anyway, so let's get into some questions from the Reddit. Got our beverage. This is the Crystal Light. Great stuff. It makes water. It's pretty good. I'm trying to stop soda. Okay. One-man shooter needing an easy time code option. This is a question. Hi, I'm a one-man video production company and I'm needing a way to easily sync time code. I have a Zoom F4, Sony a7S III, and a second camera that I'm trying to sync easily in post or while filming, and I have no experience with time code. And my experience with syncing is audio sync in Adobe Premiere. Is Tentacle an easy sync? Yeah. Does every piece of hardware have to be continuously attached to a time sync device or just synced once during the initial shoot? I think with a Tentacle sync you have to leave it in, but I've never used one. But I know a lot of people like them. Are there timecode sync devices or strategies that are better? Probably. How does everyone here sync multiple cameras? Thanks for any advice or info. It depends on what you're doing with your multiple cameras. If you're just doing interviews, clap, find the clap, done. If you're doing something more involved than that, I would say the first thought would be like, does it matter that it's synced? Because if you're shooting an event that's like long enough, unless you're gonna like cut back and forth, you probably don't need the time to be synced very well. So like if it's a wedding, you just start the cameras at the same time and point them at each other and clap. And then somewhere in the middle, you're gonna have to stop the camera and start it again. And then before it ends, you're gonna have to go sync the cameras with another clap, which you would call a tail slate. And if it's longer than an hour, and you're shooting events frequently that are longer than an hour, you're gonna want a video camera. Like get rid of your DSLRs, get rid of your mirrorless, and get like a Sony FX3, or you can get like used FS5s. Those still should do good. They're on par with your A7S III, probably actually a little bit better. That would be my advice. Or you can just rent when you need them, when you have those events that are longer. you rent some actual video cameras. Oh, help choosing a video camera. Novice from a third world country. First, I'm buying used, and second, over 200 is not an option because I want to buy from US, and where I live, a 201 would cost me around 340. I had in mind handy cams, noticing then in the sub I saw people with mirrorless cameras for video. It's a Sony a6000. Both have audio jacks. Any input is useful. Just want an opinion because I'm buying once. Okay, first of all, you're not buying once, like with that low of a budget. If you get into this and you keep making stuff, you're gonna upgrade. It's just gonna happen. I would say with that low of a budget, cell phone. Get a cell phone, spend those $200 on good audio. Because unless you're trying to do like professional work, the cell phone is if you're trying to make like movies and films and stuff and YouTube, the cell phone's gonna be a better bet. And the budget $200 is like, I don't even think any of my lenses that I use every single day, not one of them is $200. I think the cheapest lens I have that I use every day is, probably, believe it or not, is probably this one, which you wouldn't use for video anyway, because it's a 120 to 300. I got this one for $1,300. Is probably the cheapest. And I only got this because it was used, and it was a crazy good deal. So I don't think $200. I think you get a cell phone, spend the $200 on audio, like a Rode Micro Go, or whatever those wireless ones are called, and some lighting. It's gonna probably take you a lot further. Or you can get like an H1. Might also be a good option. Oh, let's see what else. Looking for a semi-affordable camera for shooting videos at home. What kind of videos are you shooting? Hello, I'm looking for a camera, preferably compact camera, I guess, under 400 pounds or thereabout. I can shoot 4K video, primarily for home use. I occasionally shoot bass guitar cover videos, and I'd like to upgrade my video quality from the Xiaomi Redmi 10 Pro I'm currently using. The one camera that piqued my interest was the Lumix FZ82. People are asking like really specific questions about consumer cameras, and my answer is going to be like, yeah, sure, I guess. I don't know. Like, if you have that budget and you're probably going into like an audio interface for your bass, I would just get like a GoPro because of such a wide angle lens. It's very small, and you could do a lot of like fun things with it, especially if you're making like bass cover videos, because I'm imagining like you could have the straight on angle, and then you could have like the down the neck angle. You can get weird with it. And one thing is, I want to give this out for free. If you make guitar videos, one thing I've always wanted to see, but I've never seen anyone do, is to wear a GoPro on their head and make tutorial videos from the POV, like as they're playing the guitar. I don't know if that would actually be really disorienting or if it'd be really helpful. Someone should try it. I've thought about doing it, but I'm not good at guitar, even though I've technically played guitar for half my life now at this point. Still really bad at it. But maybe I'll make a YouTube channel. I'm gonna make another YouTube channel because I can't. I'm addicted to making YouTube channels and then kind of fading out on them. I think I have ADHD. I probably should get that. Looked at. It's funny. I was on a job this last week with this guy who he had just recently been diagnosed with ADHD, and we were driving somewhere, and I was telling him, he was telling me about it, and how after he got diagnosed it like helped him so much, and I was telling him, I was like, oh yeah, I think I have that too because of this and this and this and this. And he was like, yeah, you definitely have ADHD. He goes, you know how I know? Because you missed the turn like 3 separate times. Like we had the GPS going, and I like just drove past the turn. And he was like, and all those things that you just said are definitely like, so I'm like, oh, okay, probably should go get that looked at. But I don't know how to do. I mentioned it to my doctor once, my primary care doctor, and she was like, yeah, probably. And I was like, what do I do? And she's like, you probably need to go see somebody. We'll get you a referral. And then she didn't get me the referral, and then I just didn't do anything about it after that. So yeah, if you have those kind of problems, the system is not set up well to help you apparently. So I need to look into that. More on that later. We'll follow up. Someone leave in the comments if you're watching this like a month later. Be like, did you ever go talk to somebody about that? I'll be like, probably not. Anyway, I quit my job to make a YouTube documentary. I didn't know anything about cameras and learned mostly through the sub. I'd like to thank you for your help. That's not a question. I probably should have sorted these by questions. Let's find another question. Avoiding Instagram Reel compression. Can somebody please explain to me how to avoid the horrible Instagram Reels compression and post Reels that look sharp at least? Compress the video no matter what, but if Instagram is doing the same compression for every reel, that's your mistake. Instagram is not doing the same compression for every reel. If you get a lot of views, and this is true of pretty much every video streaming service, is there's a threshold that you hit and it recompresses your video. It takes the original video and reconfigures it and gives you a higher quality one. That's really it, is like make better videos, get a bigger audience, and your videos will just look better because it doesn't waste the extra bandwidth on videos that aren't very good. Alright, what's the video? Someone posted a video and it was not appropriate. Can you critique my video? That probably would be good for a live stream. That's something I want to do though, if I could actually build a subscriber base for this YouTube channel, is to do like live critiques, because like, who am I? Just some random guy. But if you want a critique, I will give you one, and then I'll put it up on my thing, and people will also comment on it. Helping you out, helping everybody out. Also, I had another idea for an interesting film festival that I think everybody would hate, but would be maybe a good idea. So in hockey, there's these things that are called draft experiences, where essentially what it is you sign up as a solo person, and they draft the team kind of like live on the Friday, and then you play with the team for the weekend. I think it'd be really cool to do a 48-hour film festival like that, where you get a bunch of people and they have to like fill out like a scorecard about themselves, and then somehow there's like a random filter where you can put like experienced people with not experienced people. And then I think, as opposed to like now when you have a 48-hour film festival, you have like one team that like beats the shit out of everybody, and then just like a bunch of like high school kids that just want to do it for fun, and their videos are terrible, and half of them don't even finish. I'm like, if you had like 1 or 2 pros per team with like 1 or 2 newbies, I think, you know, rising tide rides all boats is whatever. I said that wrong. Sounds like I'm having a stroke. A rising tide raises all boats. Boats is. Let's click on this. Any good lav mics for computer use? I just started making YouTube videos using my webcam temporarily, and I am looking for any suggestions on lav mics that are good and compatible with computers. Record the audio on your phone. Get like a smart lav and then sync it in post. That would be my advice there. How to deal with clients that love big rigs. I have had my fair share of clients with no knowledge about videography, but recently I came upon a client that didn't approve my setup and rig and talked about how much better and professional their previous videographer's rig was. That's a red flag, man. Like, when you run into that, you're not getting hired again. Like, I've had that before, and it just like, it was like the teleprompter wasn't big enough for the guy, and they never hired me again. But if you get that feedback, like, you're just not getting hired again, because those people don't, whatever they pay me. So he showed me a picture of them. It was a 5D Mark III on a Ronin MX with a 24-105 lens. It's an extremely cheap setup nowadays, but it's a lot bigger than my Fuji on a Crane 3 setup. What Fuji camera are you using for video work? Like, no wonder. Like, yeah, a 5D3. Anyway, it wasn't my first time dealing with such clients, but I always try to explain. I'm kind of tired of explaining this. I recently bought a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, but clients asked for the Sony Alpha 7 series because they don't know. Someone told them that that's the thing to use. And they think Blackmagic is a ripoff since they have heard about Sony brand, but not about Blackmagic brand. That's weird because Blackmagic is like one of the more popular video brands. But also, I don't recommend Blackmagic because everybody I've known that has owned like Blackmagic cameras had to send them in to get serviced. Yeah, like it's like 100% rate. I know that's anecdotal, but like that makes me be like, man, I don't want to use that. I'm actually thinking about rigging the shit out of my camera just to make it look bigger. How do you guys deal with such clients? There's a sound guy in town. I won't say his name because he's one of those people that like doesn't. There's something about like the certain set of production people that like don't want anyone to know what they're doing, and like that's their prerogative. So I won't say his name, but he told me once, he was like, it's called show business. Sometimes you have to show them the business. And because I was talking about, I asked him once because he had like a whole sound cart set up, and it was for like a one-person interview with like one lav, one boom, and he had his whole cart with like, you know, all the stuff. And it's like, you don't need all this. You need like a bag, your boom, and like another bag for the lavs, like, and that's like it. And then that's what he told me. He says it's called show business. Sometimes you have to show him the business, and I was like, I'm gonna write that down. That's good. I'm gonna have to make that a T-shirt. This channel takes off. I'm gonna make T-shirts, and they're gonna be not stupid. That's my secondary. My primary goal with this is to help people. My secondary goal is to cash in. So I'm definitely gonna be making merch. But the key is my tertiary goal. This is the third one, is to make merch that isn't like filmmaking shirts you'd actually want to wear. Because so many of them are they're so cringy, and I'm just like, gross. The only one that seems good is like where it says like, we'll fix it in post or whatever, you know, and it's like Helvetica on a black shirt, and like 90,000 people have made that same shirt. Oh, tips on getting back into the videography field. Let's see what this is. Hi, I've been out of the video field for a little more than 2 years. Not much has changed. Looking to get back into it, and thought I'd ask about ways to go about it. Been still shooting personal stuff on and off for 2 years. Hardest part I'm having as of right now is the editing. Never was a huge fan on editing. It was part of the reason I burned out in the first place. Overall, I definitely miss the video field. Cool experiences that come with it. Any tips would be appreciated on how to get back. You find editors. There are more editors now than there ever has been. You can find you a freelance editor that will do all the editing for you, or do the parts you don't like, and then you can come in and make the tweaks, or you can do the intro part and have them do the polishing and the revisions. There's tons of options out there. There's tons of young kids that are hungry, and chances are, because here's the thing is, there are people, and I 100% know you won't believe me when I say this, because I also don't like editing. There are people that would prefer to edit than to use a camera. I have a friend, her name's Molly, and she's great. We love Molly. Hi, Molly, and sorry, Molly, for all the bad footage I've given you over the years. But she is like terrified to touch cameras. She doesn't want to touch the camera. She doesn't want to be on the set. She wants to be in her cubicle, in her little office, and she wants to just be editing stuff. That's all she wants to do. And there are Mollys out there in the world, and they are amazing editors, and they are great people, and you just need to find your Molly and let her take care of all your editing stuff, and then you could focus on the shooting and focus on the client relations, because that's really the more important part. Not saying that editing isn't important, but like if you're trying to run a business, the business part is pretty important to focus on. You know, because if you spend all your time editing but you don't have any clients, like what's the point? Anyway, moving on. Is dealing with 2 camera brands a headache? Yes. I own an A7S III, great for running gun corporate type work, but as a former Panasonic user, I miss having some proper video tools. Buy a proper video camera, then an A7S III is not one. Considering a Blackmagic Pocket 6 as my second camera, love the image, menus, dumb move. I'd have, yeah, you should make the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro your primary camera, and your A7S III your secondary camera when you need it. Or if you're not doing any stills, sell your A7S III and buy 2 Blackmagic Pocket cameras, and then you're set. Like, I don't know what the question is. Like, it seems like you don't like the A7S III cameras. That's your answer there. Okay. More questions. Answer some more questions. How do you handle underexposure? I mostly shoot fashion films at indoor events. On those indoor events, I don't have any control on the light source. This forces me to use wider apertures, which makes focusing a pain in the ass. I own a Panasonic G9, so I can't crank up the ISO because it produces a lot of noise. The only way I can manage to shoot is by shooting underexposed and stop down the aperture at 2.8. All this results in unsharp footage that I find hard to fix in post. Tips welcome. Buy a better camera. That's it. Boom. Like, I mean, what do you, like, that's the answer to your question is like, if you can't light, then you need a camera that has good low light performance, and apparently the Panasonic G9 is not one. So get a better camera. Like, it's kind of like, I have to drive all these screws, but all I have is a hammer. It's like, okay, well, you don't have the right equipment for the job, so stop doing that work or buy a better camera. I know it's easier said than done, but like that's, don't do those jobs then. Do jobs you can do with the gear you have. Like, or rent gear or borrow gear, or, you know, that sounded harsh. I didn't mean it to be harsh, but like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, if you don't have the right gear for the job, like, don't do the job. How fit are you? Ooh, this is, because I've been getting into shape and I've been working out this stupid amount. I've gained a lot of pandemic weight that has yet to come off. In August, I'll be shooting a wedding, 8 hours. Granted, I won't be shooting for the whole 8 hours, but still. I shot an athlete yesterday, overall 2-hour shoot on my new Zion crate, and wow, barely 20 minutes into it, I was exhausted. I needed both arms to carry the gimbal. My last gimbal was light, and just in general, I felt so out of breath walking around with it, bending down to get certain angles. My mind went straight into the wedding and how I'd be able to cope on that day. Well, the good news is you don't really don't have to bend around that much on a wedding. It's kind of like a lot of that stuff could be on a tripod or a monopod. So I wanted to know if there are any out-of-shape videographers. There's a lot. I've worked with many of them, and that's fine, because I was one of them myself. You have 6 weeks to hit the gym, to lift and build some stamina. That will surely help on the day. Yeah, I've actually wanted to make a video about this. I have some personal trainer friends, and I want to rope them in on collaborations, but I want it to be worth their while, so I want to build the channel first, and then once I have, I don't know, 500 subscribers, then I would approach them to make it worth their while. But I want to do like fitness for video professionals. The short version of it is especially for gimbal operators, get a heavy club. Heavy club is relative. You probably want to start with a 5-pound one. And then you're going to learn to do inside circles, outside circles, and shield casts. There is a guy on YouTube, his name is Mark Wildman. I don't know if that's his real name, but it's a pretty cool name. And he's got videos on that. I think if you look, it's like 3 best exercises. So the video is called like the 3 next best exercises for overweight people or overweight individuals or something like that. Because the first one is with kettlebells, but with clubs specifically. A club, if you're not familiar, I just happen to have one of all odds. This is not a heavy club. This is more like an Indian club because they originated in India. But so a heavy club would be 5 to 45 pounds. They even make them like even bigger. And an inside circle would be pushing from the inside, swinging all around, catching it on this side. Outside circle would be going the other way. Yes, my man crush Mark. Yeah, just consider this is like, how do you hold a gimbal? Like, very similar to this. And so if your gimbal setup weighs, I don't know, what's the heaviest gimbal setup you're realistically using? I don't know what camera, you didn't mention what camera, but even if it's a big camera like a Sony FX7, FX6, it weighs at max 5 pounds. So if you get doing, within 6 weeks, you could be up to a 10 or 12 pound club, and it won't feel, you'll be able to do it one-handed and you'll be fine. So that's my advice. Get some of these things. These things are awesome. They're super fun. They're not expensive. You can leave them outside. Don't tell my girlfriend I said you could leave them outside, because then she'll ask why the fuck we have like 12 of them in our apartment. But I'm also, I get hyper fixated on stuff, and my hyper fixation right now is swinging weights, so I keep buying them. But I think I've finally reached the point where I don't need any more of them. But then I said that, and then I saw a really good deal on Facebook Marketplace and bought 2 more. So anyway, heavy clubs. They're great. I'm going to make a video about them. But you don't have to follow that. You just go find Mark Wildman, because I'm just going to copy everything he said and then translate it for video people. Okay, moving on. Okay. Watermark question. I have some of my own footage I want to send to places to license them for purchase, such as Pond 5 and so forth. I'm curious with today's technology if one can actually download the preview files that are on stock video websites and remove the watermark and claim it as their own. If so, how would I prove it's my footage if that would ever happen? I was wanting to make my own watermark and upload them to my Instagram with a link to license it as well to promote some of my footage for licensing. Is that something that can be done? Yes, but it's a pain in the ass. Like, no one's gonna go through the effort when they can buy the footage. The amount of time and effort and computer time that would take to like scrub a watermark off footage is not worth it. They will pay for it. And if they won't pay for it, they just won't use it. Yes, and that's gonna get easier, but at the same time, like, there's so many people that are worried about like, oh, people are gonna steal my work. It's like, that's not gonna happen. And like, if it does, like, no one's gonna make any money off of it. Like, I don't know. That's kind of my take on things, and a lot of people don't like my take on it because I don't watermark my images, and I've had a lot of them stolen and used by things, places, people, and I'm like, what? I'm not gonna spend my day. I take so many fucking pictures. I'm not gonna spend my days like hunting them down and sending them invoices. Like, it's not worth my time. Like, for them to not respond and then be like, what are you gonna do? Be like, well, I could sue you. And even though my dad's a lawyer, even though he's retired, and would totally be like, you should get paid, because my dad's all about like, go get paid. I'm like, yeah, I probably should go get paid. And he would go help me with all the filings and stuff. It's just, that's not why I got into this business. That's not why I want to do things. And when I go shoot pictures of bands for fun and they use my picture to promote their stuff, Godspeed, I don't care. That's how I feel about it. With stuff like Pond 5, like, what are you shooting that, like, whatever you're shooting is, I promise you, there's like a 99% chance that there is at least 100 videos that are better than the thing you're uploading. There's better quality, better subject. It's very little. You can't jam yourself up because it doesn't scale. Because if you're gonna try to be doing stock stuff, what are you gonna do? Like, are you really gonna keep a catalog of 1,000 stock video clips and then try to hunt down people that use seconds of them? Like, it's just not worth the time. And I've had friends that have like had my friend Django and JJ, they got their time lapse stolen by a rapper. And he was a famous rapper. I don't remember what the rapper's name, but he put it in a music video, and they did get paid for that. But that was like a more egregious thing. And they didn't upload it to a Pond 5, like they just stole it out of one of their YouTube videos or something. That's a little different. But it happens. And, my take on it is just like, I can't be bothered. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my mental energy. It will drain you. It will drain you hard. It will grind you down. The process is not fun. It sucks. The reward is not worth it. Like, if people rip stuff off from me, I'm just like, all right, cool. Like, I'll use the little YouTube things and be like, bump, 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 remove. I don't give people a chance. I don't like message them and be like, hey, can you remove this? I just file the notice. And if they take it down, great. If they don't take it down, fuck, whatever. All right, cool. You just can't be bothered. Like, I want to make more stuff. I don't want to sit and police my old stuff, because that was who I was, not what I'm doing. Next question. How important are gimbals for tech review videos? Not at all. 0%. 0 out of 0. Do not recommend. Because that's a new thing that's happening, is like slightly moving cameras. I don't like it. This guy says mostly B-roll, I guess. Well, let me read the actual question. I'm looking at potentially getting a gimbal and wondering how important they are for tech review videos. Mostly B-roll, I guess. I'm thinking it would be easier to create dynamic shots versus a slider. When would you use a slider or a gimbal? A slider would be better for like macro shots, close-ups. A gimbal would be better if you're like, I don't know, shooting cars. Like if it was really big, I guess. I don't know. I don't really love gimbals. Here's my take on gimbals, and I know a lot of people love gimbals. I think if you most gimbal shots, and not all of them. Some of them are well done, but a lot of them are. I feel like it's lazy, and you're moving the camera not to motivate anything, but you're moving the camera just for the sake of moving the camera to have the eye candy or whatever you want to call it. And like, yes, that ups production value. But if you freeze frame most gimbal shots, the subject, it's not very clear, and it's kind of just like, you could tell they just kind of move the camera past the thing because like, cinematic. What? And it's no. Like I feel like your movement has to be motivated for a reason. It should help the story, not just like confuse the viewer's eyeball into thinking they saw something more impressive than they did. So that's what I think. That's my take on gimbals. I know a lot of people don't agree with it. And they're like, you should get a gimbal. And I'm like, no, you should move the camera less. And you should have more interesting shots. How do you politely discuss how someone looks for a video? It's so superficial, and I'm no God's gift to the world in terms of looks, but rightly or wrongly, we all know that certain situation requires a certain look, especially when it comes to making an image look good and not distracting. Recently, I filmed a piece and had that stereotypical shot of a woman's hand passing through the tall grass, much like Maximus Gladiator. Absolutely beautiful shot, beautiful woman. Could have been happier in the moment, but alas, I was too distracted by the technical aspect of it all. That's why you should have a director and a camera person. And I know, as a one-man band myself, that's hard to hear, but like, directors do serve a purpose, and you can't focus on the technical and the creative at the same time. It's just like left brain, right brain. It helps a lot if you can get a second person on set with you. However, went home and began editing, and this hand might be the weirdest hand I've ever seen. I feel weird even typing this out and so judgy, but I don't want to use this shot now. It's a proper Seinfeld man hands issue here. Can't do anything about it now. For future reference, how do you approach sensitive issues like this with the people who are appearing on camera? You gotta work better in casting. I don't know, if you know you want like close-ups of hands, man, like you gotta like look at their hands. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's not something you can fix. You can get like stunt doubles, hand doubles. If they're perfect but their hands aren't, then you would get a hand double and you would just work on that in casting. This is a problem you absolutely fix in pre-production, because once it's day of shoot, that's it. You find someone with better hands on set, and you feel like you find the PA or the makeup person or the camera operator or whoever has pretty hands, and you have them do the shot. And if you want to save people's feelings, you'd be like, we just need a stand-in. Why don't you go? It's crafty. Oh, best camera with IBIS. FX6. I say that because I have one. Currently have 3 GH5, almost ready to upgrade. IBIS is a must for me. I really want the best possible camera. Unfortunately, needing IBIS. Yeah. FX6. That'd be what I would use. What I would recommend. But good luck finding 3 of them. That's not an easy task. Videographer versus video predator. I've been doing this for a long time, and this is the first time I've heard the term video predator, producer/editor. I guess it's essentially the same as a videographer, yep, but I'm curious if this is a more known thing, something new, or am I just in my own video bubble? I think it's like new-ish. I probably heard it a couple years ago for the first time. I think I have that on my LinkedIn, that I'm a predator. I mean, when I think videographer, I think there's, like, you know, they're just labels. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. If you want to say video predator, it might sound flashier to some clients, and it might confuse other clients. And if you say videographer, that might make more sense to some clients. And if you say filmmaker or content creator or digital marketing specialist, those are all terms I've heard used. Camera guy, one-man band. There's so many labels, and then, eventually they just kind of become meaningless. When people ask me what I do, I say I do camera stuff for money. I point cameras at things for money, and that they tend to get that. Because I'm also one of the few people that does photo and video in about an equal amount, which apparently is not very common. As I understand it, I do understand it, because trying to do them both at the same time is very difficult. So it's definitely easier for me to be like, I'm doing photos today, and then I'm doing video. So if I have to do both at the same time, I can, but I'm never happy about it, and it's they're never happy with the results. But apparently there's people that can't do it at all. If they do video, they have a really hard time getting good stills. So I was gonna make a video about that too, but I don't know what I'm gonna say, because I'm I just do it. How do you be so good at photo and video? You just do both of them for 10 years. I don't know. So that's probably a video. There's some of these videos I make because they help me, because I forget things. And so I think if I could figure out some rules that help on a photo and video shoot, that would probably help me out too, because then I could review that and be like, oh yeah, I remember when I thought that was a good idea. Thanks, past self. That's a lot of these tutorials I've made are things that I do twice a year, and I'm like, how the fuck did I do that? So make a video about it, and you don't want to, because all the videos that we're finding, if you look at most of my tutorials, they're a minute or two long. And most of the tutorials for the same thing that I made a tutorial about were 10 minutes long, because algorithms. And I'm it doesn't need to be 10 minutes long, where it's oh guys. It's the first 2 minutes is intro about them, and I'm I don't care, tell me how to do the thing. So that's how I want to make my tutorials, because I think that's a better way. Don't waste people's time. Oh. Let's find some more questions. Freelance production assistant always talks business with my clients while we are at work. Should I say anything? I hire a friend who is a freelance production assistant / camera operator to help me out with my gigs, but every time I do, he ends up trying to talk to my clients and offering his services and talking about his business. It's very annoying, because it almost feels like he helps me out just for the connections. He does. You're an idiot. Don't hire him again. That's a huge dick move. If that happened once, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't hire that person again. It's just, I don't know. That's a not cool thing to do. If that's you, don't do that. If you're that guy, stop doing that. More questions. Set ideas for a rap music video. What's some ideas that come to mind when building a simple set for a music video? That is the broadest question ever. Shoot it on a green screen and then figure it out later. If you really don't know, because then you could just put anything in the back. That would be my advice. Video cameras for piano playing. I was wondering if there are any cameras or setups that can be recommended to me for playing piano. Either one from an aerial view looking above the piano, or a sort of GoPro that is first-person perspective, seeing the piano as I'm playing it with my hands. I'm not too well speaking about the angle, so that comes vague. Let me know. GoPro, and you boom it over your head, and then you get the kind of downward angle. I think if you do a POV, piano's big enough. It depends on the piece, how much are you looking at your hands versus the music, versus do you have a hand way over here, so I would say a top down, and then maybe a 3/4. It depends on how important it is to see the actual keys, I guess that's the real question. What's the purpose of the video? I think I need more info to solve that one. Event pricing help. 4-day event, approximately 300 to 400 people. That doesn't matter. Footage to be captured throughout the day, breakout sessions, general fun, off-site management, presentations, etc. Then take these clips and build a nice little 3 to 5 minute video to play the following morning at breakfast to wrap up and highlight yesterday's events. ongoing light social media coverage when I see the opportunity. Equipment is provided. I don't like that because I think there's a lot of people that bill for their rate and then they have a kit rental rate. I don't like doing that. I just kind of have the one price, and I'm like, this is me and my gear. I bring my gear. I don't want to use your gear. I want to use my gear because it's set up how I like it, and I know how to use it. Like, if I'm used to having a Sony FX6 and you give me an FS5, which is a very similar camera but different, I could probably figure it out, but I'm gonna miss shots because I'm struggling with the technical side of it. It's not worth doing, especially when you have crazy turnarounds like that and you need to get the shots. That would be, okay, relevant info. I work in-house for an association hosting an international event. The work is going to be outside my normal hours and duties, so they are wanting to hire me or call it a bonus. They are trying to rip you off. I have all the skills to do the job. I've just never had to freelance, so I have no clue what to ask about all the camera software, etc. through work that I use for my normal jobs. Okay, so the equipment is provided then. This is just a one-time audio that goes beneath the norm. It's a 4-day event with 24-hour turnaround. Like that alone, just for the 24-hour turnaround, if someone asked that, I would charge like an extra $500 just for that aspect of it, because it's a 3 to 5 minute to play the next day. So you're making 20 minutes of videos plus light social media coverage. I mean, you're talking, that's like the job of like 4 people. So honestly, I mean, like the price for that should be, I mean, realistically, like 10 grand probably. Like, because you could probably hire a 4-day event. How long are the events? Like it says like it's an all-day thing. But like, how long are you shooting? I guess is the real question. There's so many variables to that. But yeah, like off the cuff, like 10 grand, man. Like that's a lot of work. That's a lot of footage. Like 3 to 5 minute, like quick snappy highlight video. Like even if you had interviews to like as a skeleton to kind of like fill space, that is so much footage. And to do like a 3-minute video in 24 hours, like less than 24-hour turnaround, like that's bonkers. Like that's so much work. You're gonna be just working nonstop for 4 days. Yeah, I think the first thing I would say is ask them, make a 3-minute video, make them watch a 3-minute video and be like, this is what you want? And they're gonna be like, no, that's boring and terrible. Like I don't wanna watch 3 minutes of what we did yesterday. Like 30 seconds to 30 to 90 seconds would be more appropriate. So that's for starters. That'd make your life a lot easier. And that would probably make the budget more realistic. But I think bottom, if somebody came to me asking for that, I would not take less than $5,000. That would be where my price would be. And that would be, I feel like, a generous rate for that kind of work. Because you gotta take some of that stuff off. Like for one person, there's no way one person gets all that work done. Like that's really my first take. And so like if I was doing it myself and I wanted to hate myself for a week, I'd charge $5,000. Realistically, that would be more like a $10,000 job, and I would do it. I would shoot it. I would hire an editor, and I'd hire a photographer, and we would do it right. And then we'd probably have a 4th person who's like a swing. And so if you're talking $10,000, you're paying each person like $600-700. You get about 10 grand. So that would be a fair rate would probably be like $10,000 for what they're asking. And so what you need to do is you can hit them with that sticker shock and be like, let's walk back what a realistic thing would be. A 30-second highlight video is a lot easier to shoot. You don't have to be there all day, You could pop in for like an hour. You shoot kind of like the biggest session and a couple like coffee break and then like 1 or 2 breakout sessions. Then you go edit it and you're still working within like a 6-hour day, which is a lot more reasonable. And then you can spend the rest of the time focusing on getting some quick clips, social media coverage. But yeah, there's just no way one person could do that work. It's just asking too much. Let's see what some other people said about this. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of good comments. One guy says it's a lot of work. I'm gonna go ahead and throw my 2 cents in. Be like, honestly, that's a 10K job requiring 3 to 4 people, 1 video shooter, photo shooter, an editor. Set on doing this. I would take this 5K and I'd probably try to work the scope back. Alright. Boom. Help somebody. I feel like I should. Oh, that was 13 days ago. I feel like I should do this. I should actually answer the questions after I should leave them up and then go back and answer them. Because people aren't going to watch this video. What are the odds? It'd be great if they did. Everyone should watch my videos. Oh, let's see. One last question. How much would you charge for filming an online course? Price questions. These are good questions. I think people need price questions. I think those are some of the biggest questions. It's like, what should I charge? And the question is like, every situation is a little different. I think you should have a set day rate and a set rate for your gear, which is really common, even though, like I said, I don't agree with that. I just have the one rate, take it or leave it. It seems to work for most people because almost every time I use all my gear. So, where was it going with that? Yeah. So I think you should have a number in your head that's like a set rate. You should have a number in your head for like these people can afford it, and you should have a number in your head for like this is a good organization and I want to help them out, and they do things that I like, and so I'd be willing to take a lesser rate and then have that bottom rate of like I'm not working for less than that. The only reason you should deviate from what I think that schedule those 3 prices of having like a Fortune 500 rate, a normal day-to-day rate, and then a nonprofit rate, we'll say, would be volume of work. If somebody came to you and was like, we want to hire you every single month or every single week to make XYZ, then you get a volume discount. That would be my suggestion on that. Anyway, how much would you charge for filming an online course? How much would you charge for filming a whole online course? Client requires me to film educational courses in which students can watch and learn. 4 modules required, 3 to 5 clips per module, including an intro clip and clips covering the course content. Takes 1 day to shoot 1 module and its content. 3 camera setup, 3 to 4 light setup, production assistant, lav mics, and editing the whole thing. I'm estimating roughly 5.2 grand Australian total. I have a decent amount of experience and have filmed, but I don't want to blow their bank. They came to me with no idea of their budget. Wondering what you would charge if you were in the same situation. What is the Australian to USD? So 1 Australian dollar is 68 cents. So if we're charging 5.2 thousand, would be 3,500 for 4 days of work. That seems a little low for 3 cameras. Assuming you're paying, okay, so it's 3,500. So it's 4 modules required, 3 to 5 clips per module, and it takes 1 day to shoot a module. Why does it take so long to shoot a module? Like, how long are they? Are they like an hour? I guess that's the real question. I need more info here. But we're assuming 1 day to shoot one module and its content. I'm guessing maybe they're shooting a lot of cutaways, like they're doing like it's a 20-minute thing, 3 to 5 clips per module. So maybe there's 20 minutes of like talking head, and then you got to go back and film the B-roll, I guess, maybe. I still don't feel like maybe that would take a whole day. I guess it depends on how good the talent was. 3 camera